Good morning, everyone. It's always a party at Patchworks. Let's get this party started. Woot, woot. Good morning, everyone. Happy day after Thanksgiving. I thank you so much for joining us for this fun weekend together as we adventure into our fun sewing Thanksgiving weekend. So we're kicking today off by talking about some really fun Quilt As You Go bags. But you know what? It's even better than just Quilt As You Go bags. We've added the Zippity Do Done Tuck and Sew zippers to our fun Quilt As You Go bags. Cool! How fun is that? Plus, we also are playing with multi-sized by using the cosmetic bag, and then with our leftover batting and our leftover fabrics, we are making a fun little wallet that you can send us a little note and we will gladly send you this pattern for that fun little project with your leftover fabrics. So if you haven't seen the Quilt As You Go tote bags by June Tailor, there's 3 of them. We have the Alexandra here, and this one is the size right here. They're all about the same size. This one uses 2.5-inch strips and then some lining fabric. We have the Sophie tote right here in this package. And let's look at the overhead so that we can see this a little bit better. So we have the Alexandra. Let's see, can we see it here? All right, there's a little bit of a glare, but you can see here there is one batting in this project, and the cover shows you 3 different styles. You just add fabric. We have the Sophie tote here, and once again 3 different styles shown on the cover. The package includes 1 batting and your handles. And then we have the Tori tote, and this one uses a 1/4 yard of 5 to 7 different fabrics and is some larger flying geese. They all finish 15 by 14 by 4 inches deep. The Zippity Do Done is a new product that is 18-inch zippers that have these fabric casing on it. Really nice, and we're going to show you how to install them. So you can buy these individually. We stock all of them in store and online. But this cosmetic bag here, this has the small and the large cosmetic bag, and it also includes your zipper that you need for the small and large bag. As we were putting this together, we decided to use our 2.5-inch strips. So we used this beautiful Serenity Lake 20-piece strip set that we set up. We cut these and packaged these here in the store. And you can see that we were able to use this 2.5-inch strip set for the Alexandra, for the large and small cosmetic bag, and our fun little bonus piece. Now, do you know what? What do we have left? I have some pieces left, and I just want to show you how great this was. So we have still just a tiny bit left of fabric, so we really used every little bit up, and then we have some lining left from that. You're going to want a yard of lining for your Alexandra tote, and then you'd want a 1/2 yard for your cosmetic bags. So if you wanted everything matching, get a 1.5 yards, your 2 battings, and then I'm going to have you pick up 2 extra zippers, 1 for your tote and 1 for your bonus project. So let's talk about how we do this. So if you've been following me a lot, you know how to do quilt as you go with the pre-printed battings. So the bulk of today's discussion wasn't talking about how to do this. It was how to add this super cool piece. So what we thought we would do, we made this beautiful sample, and it's lovely, and I love, love, love purple. But I thought, you know what? There might be some of you that like a little bit bolder look. So I thought, maybe we should work on putting a zipper on a totally different look and a totally different bag. So I was crazy, and we went ahead and we prepared a Sophie. Look at this, it's so fun, with our black and white strip set. This is a Kim Schaefer 20-piece strip set. We use a combination of her new tuxedo black and white line, as well as the black and whites from her coupe line. And the coupe has these great whimsical chickens in here. Ah, I can't believe it. These chickens are so amazing. Look at these. They're so fun. So we put her orange little chicken tracks here, and then we have this great vibrant green lining. So we went ahead and we just pre-pieced this, because that's not the exciting part that you tuned in this morning for, right? Okay, if you had wanted to see a little bit more, because this is all completely new to you, I would say check our other previous YouTube videos for a little bit more on that quilt as you go. Sound good? Okay. So to put this all together, we're going to look down at our table, okay? So let's get this, let's make a little bit of room for ourselves. We're going to use a black zipper. I thought that that worked really well on our, so we used here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these strips, and we actually only needed a little bit more than a half a strip. So you would be able to get 2 tuxedos at least out of your 20-piece strip set. And our 20-piece strip sets are $19.99, so you're just paying $1 a strip. Okay, so when we're working with this, we put this together and we want to keep everything flat. The zipper here is 18 inches long. When it comes out of the package, it might be a couple extra inches, or I mean a little bit extra, so it might measure 18.5 or maybe closer to 19. You can see it's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to show you how we adapt this to fit the great zipper. Before we get started, what I want you to notice, if you've worked with any other zipper before, is that this has no finished end on this end or this end, okay? But you have your zipper pull already in the middle. So when we start working with this, we're going to want to make sure that we are aware that these are unfinished, okay? In here, this is fabric that is on the bias, so it works really nicely, and it's finished ends, and we're just going to tuck it in. We leave everything pressed as is. To get started, we are simply going to insert all the layers of our top of our tote in here. So I'm centering this. Let's see. Okay, so I'm doing on your first side, you don't have to be, you can just eyeball it, okay? So here we are, we're eyeballing it. And what we want to do right now is that we're going to pin it in place. So on the video here, it might be just a titch dark. Might be easier to see on with a white contrast here, but I think that the black is going to finish super nice. So that's why we're going to stay with the black. And what we're going to do is I need to pin this in place. So when we're pinning it in place, because we're going to sew through all of the layers, we're going to pin it a little bit differently than how I normally pin projects that I sew. So I'm pinning along the edge here, okay, going through all of the layers. So I want to make sure that my pin grabs the back side and the front side. And I'm going to work my way up. The whole zipper here. The first ones that I worked with, I used a little bit of glue to dab in there and see if that helped. I didn't notice that it did anything one way or the other, so I just left no glue in how I'm working with it now. Now you're not going to need a zipper foot, and all you're going to do is you're going to continue to use your walking foot that you have on your machine from what you were using for your quilt as you go. Now before we continue, we need to make sure that we picked up the back on both of these, okay? So I was a little quick here and I did not pick up the backing on everything. We're going to pin it again. Ooh, the magic of the live record here. See, it doesn't always happen completely perfect, not even in Julie's world. And then we're going to redo this one too. Okay. Make sure we catch it all. All right, so I can see the silver shining through everywhere. We are going to stitch this one side first, and then we're going to stitch the second side. So we're going to hop over to our sewing machine. I have some black thread in here. And you can, if you prefer to move your needle position, you absolutely can. I am going to just stay with my needle position centered, and I'm going to come in, about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do a straight stitch here, and it's going to catch all the layers. I'm going to do a back tack when I start, and then we're going to just very carefully, and I'm going to slow my machine down a little bit, okay? We're going to pull these pins out as we're stitching. If you wanted to, you could use a really pretty decorative stitch. You know, sometimes we have these really fun stitches on our machine. Like I could even see something that kind of looks like these chicken tracks that could be fun over the edge. And we're just going to straight edge stitch this in place through all the layers. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, are we getting all of the layers? Well, that's why we took care and made sure we pinned the way we did so that we got all the way through. And we're going to go kind of slow. You know, if I'm just piecing something else, I'm going to go a little bit faster, but I want to just make sure I'm catching all my layers. Isn't this simple? It'll take, if you've never sewn one of these, it would take probably about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on the speed that you're sewing, to put one of these bases together. And then you can slip this in before you continue. All in all, this makes a very nice, fun weekend project. And Let me see here. Oh, yep, we caught it all. This is perfect. Okay, so let's look over at our sewing table here. We caught it all. That's great. So now what we're going to do is that we are going to position in this other side. So we're going to look at the cosmetic bag a little bit later, and we're going to see how the cosmetic bag is actually easier because you're two separate pieces. So I probably should have started with that one first, but I wanted to show you because I know a lot of you have these tote bags at home. And so I wanted to show you how you could simply add this zipper because we've been talking about adding a zipper to it for a long time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open this just a little, but remember I said it wasn't finished here or here, so we're going to make sure that we don't pull it all the way open. And I'm positioning this so that we're even on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to start pinning from the center out. Sound good? Okay. So how was your turkey yesterday? I made a 11-pound turkey for Frank and myself, and it was super tasty. I made us some red cabbage, which is a tradition on both of our families. And the stuffing recipe that I made this year is a little bit different. I took advantage of some bagged stuffing cubes and then added some of my magic spices. And of course, I have to put in some of the good broth that I make from the goo goodness of all of the good parts of the turkey. Okay, so I pinned this here. We're going to make sure, yes, we caught on the other side. Good, we got it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to come and we're going to sew on this side. So we are going to hop over to our machine. And on the machine, I'm going to feed it in. Now we have enough of a gap, so I'm literally just putting the open part under my machine. Do you see this here? Oops, let me move my arm away here. So I have the opening part underneath, and we're just going to be careful to make sure that we don't stitch in the bottom layer. Okay, so we're going to go slow. Once again, we are about 1/8 inch away from the edge. Okay. We're going to make sure we take our pins out before we hit them. Don't want to end up breaking a pin and ending up not being able to sew for the rest of the weekend. That would be devastating. If you use a matching thread on your zipper casing here, it's going to be really forgiving. So you don't have to have the most perfect straight stitch here. But we're going to do our best to get a nice straight stitch. And I'm making sure that I am manipulating that bottom layer so that I don't stitch it in, because that would just be sad. And we don't want to be sad at the beginning of our grand sewing weekend, right? Okay, let's see, we're coming to the end here. Now keep in mind, if we had two flat pieces, this would be a little bit easier. Not a little bit, it would be a lot easier. But I really am excited about closing this up, and I know you are going to love the results, so it is so worth it. Okay, so we're coming to the end, and then we're going to back tack. Okay. Now we'll trim off our little edges and feed this back through so that we can open this up, and let's look over on our cutting table. Well, that looks really nice. It lays completely flat. I didn't sew the other parts together, and see how nice and smooth this comes. Super cool. So what we're going to do now is that we want to make sure we secure these ends before we go any farther. Sound good? Okay, let's secure the edges of our zipper back to the sewing machine. So I am going to take the outside of my sewing machine off to free up that arm to slide this in. And we are just going to do a nice reinforcing stitch on the end of the zipper here. Okay, back and forth. Perfect. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Now, if along the way you accidentally separate your zipper, don't be sad. It's okay. You are able to position it back together. The first time I worked with this zipper, I was a little over ambitious and did separate. So we can do a separate video for how to rethread your zipper, but it's actually pretty simple. So, okay, I got my edge done. We're going to go back to the cutting table. Okay, we may have stayed at the cutting table view. Okay, so what we had done is we stitched right here. I apologize for that little bit, but it's the excitement of our viewing here. So now we can finish up the rest of our bag, because our zipper pull, it will stop on either end. Okay. To finish it up, we are going to turn it inside out. But before we do that, we actually want to trim this up, right? We want to trim it up so that this works really nice. So we are going to take our ruler, our strip ruler here, and we are going to draw a diagonal line. Okay, we can draw it and then cut it just to make sure. So we're going to come straight here down to the end of the zipper, and then we're going to simply cut at an angle from the end of the zipper all the way to the point. So we're kind of making a little trapezoid. Okay, so let's line this up, get our rotary cutter, confidently cut, and then we're squaring it off here. That was a lot of layers. So if you need to just take that second bit, you can. Okay, I am right-handed, so what we're going to do is I'm going to flip over, and let's do it again on this side. Okay, so we're going to cut. We have our edges lined up at the bottom here. You can see this, our boxed edge is lined up. We're going to align at this bottom point, go to the top edge of the zipper, and then straight up at the top. Okay, so this is beautiful. Now we're ready to turn inside out. Very carefully. And then we'll continue to proceed with the directions. Just to show you how simple it is, we're going to sew the edges, and I'm going to show you how to align this zipper here. You can, I really like to use Wonder clips, but we're just going to use pins today. I'm going to make sure that my zipper is lined up, and I'm going to pin here right below my zipper, and then I'm going to make sure this stripe is lined up, pin there, and here we're pinning how I traditionally like to pin, which is perpendicular to where I'm going to be sewing. Another one here, and another one here. Okay, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. We are going to pin right here where our stripes meet up. At the bottom. And here we go. All right, let's head over to our sewing machine, and this time we're really going to go to the sewing machine. Okay, so you can see we took this part to free up our arm of our machine. I'm going to put it back on for this. As we're not in an inset table, it makes it easier when we have a little bit more of a ledge. Now we're going to take a seam that's a little bit wider. So we are going to go, I believe they tell us to take a 1/2 inch. I typically take like a 3/8 on these guys. We're going to sew here, and then we want to make sure we're going to go back, do a really nice back tack. Maybe do it a couple times. I'm using the Eversewn Sparrow 25. It's an excellent machine. It is a great travel machine, a great above entry-level machine. It goes through all of these layers super nicely. The sparrows have been really hard to find over the past several months. We do have one in stock right now. We're coming down to the end, and then we're going to back tack. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to finish. What I did is I took this box here and I just opened it up to flatten it out, and we're just going to finish it right now. I'm going to maneuver the seam to the side, to down. In best practices, we should pin, so I'm just going to take a pin it here. We're just going to pin. Better to pin a little bit, right? I know it's more fun to just get it done, but we really should pin it. Okay, now we can go back and sew it up. Gonna do a back tack again. So nice and straight across the way to have a nice bottom to your bag. Do a little back tack to make sure it's nice and secure. And now let's repeat on the other side. You can finish the edges with a zigzag before or with a serged edge if you prefer. All right, so we started this. Now we're going to make sure we do a nice back tack, forward. Using a nice 40 weight thread and the 40 weight thread and 90-14 needle is great. I just need to get this all straight in here. Got caught on the back of the zipper. So there we go, the feed dogs got caught. So we just have a little bit more security on that end, which actually isn't bad at all. And then we're just going to sew all the way down the edge. Almost to the end. We're going to go ahead and after we back tack here, we'll just open up that boxed end again. Of course, you can make it fancy finish and you could serge or overlock your seams for a nice finish there. And then we will pin. We're going to be good and we're going to pin. It just takes a couple minutes, so you know it's worth it to be able to have this bottom really nice. All right, we're going to get in here. Let's go backwards, forwards. You don't want to go over those pins. Those machines, they don't like it. Couple more, and then we'll back tack. There we go. Okay, so let's come back over here and do the big reveal. Look at the bottom. Oh my goodness, look at that. That looks nice. And how about our other side? Ooh, fantastic. We got it. Now on the edge here, on the top end, we are going to, before we turn it, we're going to bring in this zipper pull a little bit, okay? Bring it in so that when we turn, okay, when we turn, we're going to use a little tool to push out our end, okay? This end can be a little tricky. So you could use something formal. Oftentimes I just use the end of my paper scissors here. Just going to cut a couple threads here. And then this is the other side. Oh, look at that. Spectacular. Oh. Look at this, it's so cute. So now it's ready for handles to finish. Super cute, super nice, super quick. And I really love this zipper. It's nice and sturdy and will help keep your things all nice and secure. So now that you've done this and you are going to have some leftovers, of course you're going to have to make some matching accessories. So what I've done is I'm going to share with you, I'm going to walk you through a little slideshow of how we made our smaller units. Now, something to note here on this guy, notice that I used these, notice that we have some nice strips here. On the cover photo, we have charm squares being used. Let's look at it overhead. Okay, so you can see in the sample there are some squares, and we instead use strips because that's what we had. So let me show you how we did that. Okay, so the first thing that we do is that we have our batting that we're going to stitch around the perimeter so that to our backing so that we can see it clearly when it is time to cut it out at the end. Then what we're going to do is position our two strips in the center, right sides together, right at the line where 1 and 2 is. You'd proceed all the way across the center strip. And then what you'll do is you'll trim off your excess. So I just arranged them in a way that was pleasing to my eye. You'll then proceed to add your top and bottom strips as you would, and then you'll cut everything out so that you're ready for the next step. Now remember when we were putting our zipper in and I said, you know, it's really much easier when your pieces are flat. Well, in this case you have 2 flat pieces. So what you're going to do with that is that you are just going to scooch them in and stitch on either side. Really nice. It's nice and flat. You don't have to maneuver a gap in that bag in order to get your zipper in. You still want to make sure that you are securing the zipper ends on both sides. So that was super fun and super easy to put those all together. And you can see the finished result there is just so attractive. So we used our leftover strips here, and then we have the mini bag here. I was even thinking that the size of the larger tote bag, or the larger cosmetic bag here, which would be a great toiletry bag, you really could put a handle on this and it could be a great handbag. I think it would be really, really nice. So that's something fun to think about. For the leftovers that we created our fun little coin purse here. Okay, so what we did is that we took two 5 by 6.5 inch squares of batting with our backing, and then I literally just drew a line. Okay, I drew a line so that I could start putting together these guys here. I used 1.5 inch strips, or 1.5 inch squares instead of 2.5 inch, because I thought it would be better for the scale. And this particular little guy here does not have any boxed bottoms. It is just straight stitching all the way around. I put in a fun little zipper. We only used a small portion of the 18-inch zipper, but I thought it was so worth it because it was so cute. And then what I did is I took an extra 2.5 inch strip, just a whole 2.5 inch strip, and I folded it together, and together again I inserted this in here and I sewed it into my edge here, the side seam, so that it would just connect along with me. If you want to make sure that you always, I don't know, I always lose my little insert coin purse everywhere. And the cool thing about this particular size is that this is the size of what my little inside wallet is for my smaller handbag. So it's a little bit larger than just a small coin purse. It can fit dollar bills, some coins, and some credit cards and IDs as well. So we just had so much fun with that, and I hope you have a lot of fun trying this. If you've never tried any of these Quilt As You Go bags, they're really fun. If you wanted to add the fun zipper element, super cool, super easy. We did it here with you today in about a half hour. It might take you for the first time an hour or so to add that, and then you can go ahead and add your straps and have just a really fun bag. And of course you can make all of these pieces for just a great ensemble. And I don't know about you, but I like bags with bags in bags and bags. I mean, I could have all sorts of little totes all around. My husband thinks that, he thinks that I have way too many little bags, and I just love bags that I can put things in because it's so fun. So I hope you had fun with me today. We have so much programming for you this weekend, and everything is not perfectly polished. We just wanted to have fun with you, give you some inspiration, and help you create some beautiful things. So I hope you join us. If you enjoyed this, please like us, comment, and continue to watch us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out all sorts of really amazing things. Also, hop onto our Facebook. We're having a great giveaway this Thanksgiving weekend of 2020 for some fun prizes for people who've been watching and playing along. We're going to have some fun trivia contests. So I hope that you are going to be lucky this coming weekend, and I hope you're having fun with us. Thanks for watching. Happy quilting.